first and most important thing in this or any chapel is our altar. This altar is where, during this time when we're not permitted to celebrate public masses in the church, this is where Father Edmund and I celebrate the holy sacrifice of the Mass every day for all of you and for all of your particular intentions. This altar was just installed a few weeks ago, just in time, and it was designed by Brother Gerard, and the materials to make it came from some old statuary stands that we had sitting around, not doing anything. So this is a really beautiful way of repurposing those materials. And it's a true altar, as I'll show you, in that it also has an altar stone. And an altar stone is simply a stone which contains relics from saints, usually martyrs, that is installed into the top or the mensa of an altar. And this particular altar stone was taken from an altar that was no longer in use. I'm afraid I don't know what saints' relics are contained in there, but nevertheless, it's a reminder of our connection to, especially to the martyrs of our church. At every Mass that we celebrate, all of the angels and saints are present at the holy sacrifice of the Mass. So that's our altar. And then on top of the altar, we have the tabernacle. And this particular tabernacle, I don't know how old it is, but it was originally made for the novitiate. And those of you old enough to remember might remember the novitiate building, which was a 3 or 4 story brick building that stood near the shrine of St. Rose, that's behind our church complex. And this tabernacle would have been in the oratory of the novitiate building, a small chapel built for the novices and student brothers who lived there. This tabernacle was sitting in very poor condition in our basement for many years, and our good friend Dale Reinscheld came and rehabilitated this tabernacle to make it look as beautiful as you see it here. I think it's better seen in person than on this the poor quality video, but nevertheless, it's another connection that we have with the long history of St. Rose Priory. On either side of the altar and tabernacle, we have 2 icons. These are in a Greek style, and this is Jesus Christ, of course, and under the title in the Greek letters Pantocrator, which means the master of everything, the ruler of everything. So an icon that particularly highlights the providential care that Jesus has for the whole church and for the world. And then on the opposite wall, we have an icon of the Blessed Virgin Mary, who is holding the infant Jesus in her lap. These are the main pieces of spiritual icons that we have here in the chapel. Then, just to give you perspective on the main body of the chapel here, unlike the church, where you usually have pews that are arranged crosswise so that everyone is facing the altar, in our chapel we have the traditional choir arrangement. And the choir arrangement is made to facilitate the praying of the Liturgy of the Hours, or the Divine Office as it's sometimes called. And so we have 2 rows of choir stalls that face each other, and the meat of the liturgy of the hours is the praying of the Psalms. And so we recite or sing the Psalms going back and forth from one side of the choir to the other. These particular stalls used to be in St. Rose Church, and they were installed in 1905 when St. Rose became the novitiate for the province of St. Joseph. That's the first year of a man's beginning in the order of preachers. The Dominicans is the novitiate, and the novitiate was here at St. Rose from 1905 until 1956. So these stalls would have been in the sanctuary area. There were 2 rows on each side that basically filled the whole sanctuary area of the church that we see today. So once again, we have a connection to the long history of St. Rose and of the Dominicans' presence here, right here in our chapel. Another thing I'd like to show you is this lectern. And again, this is a lectern that was taken from the old novitiate building. This may have been in the chapel. It may have been in the refectory, which is the dining room where they would have had readings during meals. And one thing to note about this is the beautiful ironwork holding up the lectern. But you'll see at the top of that ironwork is a little, it's a star. It's an 8-pointed star, and that 8-pointed star is a symbol of St. Dominic, our Holy Father Dominic, who is the founder of the Dominicans, the order of preachers. And when he was baptized, his godmother had a vision of this star, an 8-pointed star over his head. That was a divine sign to those people that Dominic was going to be somebody very special, somebody who had divine favor. So again, another relic from the old Priory and the old novitiate, and also a symbol of our Dominican foundations. Then I'd like to show you our reliquary, and this is just a cabinet basically that has a number of relics that we have. You might know that relics are usually small pieces of bone or taken from the bodies of the saints. And we have a number of relics. I won't tell you what all of them are, but we have some Dominican ones in particular. We have St. Albert the Great up here. This is of St. Catherine of Siena. This relic is of St. Rose of Lima. We have a relic of St. Thomas Aquinas, who of course is a great Dominican theologian and saint. And then a relic of our Holy Father Dominic, St. Dominic himself, the founder of the Order of Preachers. So these again are reminders to us of our presence every time we come to pray, that we are surrounded by the communion of saints, obviously spiritually, but also we have relics of their physical presence with us as well. So that's a quick tour of our chapel. I hope that it gives you a little bit of insight into where we come together to pray every day, several times each day. And we're particularly praying for all of you, parishioners here at St. Rose and at Holy Rosary, and where we are offering masses for your intentions, and especially that we can, as a community, soon and quickly get through this crisis of the coronavirus. God bless you.